Hello there and welcome to this vlog of December 2023, and this will be the first of two videos that I will drop this week. This one is going to be a pretty short primer, and when I say short this time I do mean short. I know I sometimes say that and then I end up with a 20-30 minute video, but this is basically just going to be like a synopsis of why I document and catalogue my Force creation journey, if you want to put it that way. So, and the reason that I'm doing it now is because I haven't done one of these videos for a while, and you know, my view rate is still like comparatively low, but I suppose in like BattleTech community it's probably at like a relatively mid-level for a content creator. Important to note, I don't care about views. I know a lot of people say that, and I think it's some kind of like reverse marketing ploy. I will tell you why I mean it, because I make these videos for me, right? This is part of my hobby, like documenting my hobby, talking about the lore that I want to talk about. And if people are happy to listen to that, great. If not, great. I've got my expectations on this when I started is that I might get 10 subscribers. You know, I'm coming up now to like 700. So yeah, for me, I mean, again, if not that I measure myself on that metric, but I suppose if I did, I'd consider that quite shockingly successful, because I just thought this would be a like a very meandering channel, which it is. You know, I don't spend any time like editing these videos, or they're just kind of thought pieces, really. But bring this back on topic, and it's important that you know what I said previously before I go into this, really. My intention for this this channel was to document the Dusk Haunters and the journey of that mercenary group through the kind of BattleTech universe, and then how I would like collect that force, paint that force, document that force, write about that force, whatever else. And whatever direction this channel goes in, that is really the heart of it. Now, of course, as I just said, I do that for myself. But where I think other people can get something out of that is they can see someone who's gone from like basically 0 to 60 within the BattleTech hobby. In that, you know, I didn't have the funds or the disposable income or even the kind of ability to paint miniatures, or you know, learn how to paint miniatures properly when I was a kid. I just don't think it was in my tool set. But I had the Dusk Haunters on paper as what I wanted as a, you know, like a force. And I only had, I think I had like, I don't know, like 8 to 12 mechs for them, or something like that. And that was over years, right? Because it wasn't easy to kind of get Ralpatha stuff back then. And, you know, it wasn't like Games Workshop where there was like stores in most cities. You could just walk in, buy like the box set, whatever. It was just much more difficult for British people to get BattleTech, especially British kids. So this now, like the documentation of like the Dusk Haunters force, is really my like again, just me being able to kind of catalogue how far this has come over like 3 years, and it's almost like a gift to my 10-year-old self, who never could have dreamed of having like a regiment of their mercenary group that they created. Which I suppose is like, you could probably psychoanalyze that, it's a bit weird, but I take a lot of joy out of it. I love collecting the miniatures, obviously, and it just gives me a real like direct focus. And where I think people can potentially get something out of that is just seeing how you build a force and what it kind of takes in regards like the paperwork, the time, the money, things like that. So everything else that I really talk about, like on the commercial front with BattleTech, and I talk about that a lot. Obviously, you know, maybe like 1 in 2 of the videos that I put out are talking about like BattleTech's business development expansion, and you know, their marketing and like the Kickstarter and things like that. It is just all a way for me to kind of document the journey that I'm then having through this, so that I can get the miniatures to collect the Dusk Haunters regiment. Obviously, it goes beyond that as well. Like if you look at all the shelving behind me, like the Dusk Haunters are only this bit here, right? And I think eventually it's just going to be these 3 shelves. This will be like Dusk Haunters and affiliated parties. The rest of this shelving here and here is just BattleTech general. So I obviously do collect lots of things in BattleTech. I have like dozens of like mercenary companies, pretty much all the major forces, things like that. But ultimately, it does all stem from my love of the mercenary group that I created as a kid, and have now really been able to kind of expand and develop because I've got the means to do it. So that's, again, I just wanted to say that before I got into the next video so that you know what this means from my perspective, why I document and catalogue this. And again, it's not going to be for everyone, but if you are undertaking, certainly, let's say you want to create a Star League regimental force or something like that, I think that the blueprint that I use, which is very like lore friendly and appropriate, there are some tweaks that I do that wouldn't be in the BattleTech universe, but you've got to give yourself some leeway if you want to kind of formulate your own narrative. But I think it's just so, and I talk about the kind of force creation a lot, like what a lance is comprised of, what that means to turn it into a company, what it means to turn it into a battalion, what it means to turn it into a regiment, what it means to turn it into an extended regiment. And I think stuff like that is like the heart of this channel, and something that I hope, that's the one thing that I wanted to kind of document and show, because it is quite complex. If you know military history, you will get these terminologies. So, you will know that a regiment is bigger than a battalion, and a battalion is bigger than a company. But because it's specific to BattleTech, and I try to be lore friendly, I say lore friendly, the dust counters are an irregular force. An irregular force is basically, the clue's in the title, right? Like a regular force is like, from an armed force, all the regiments will be very, very similar, if not identical. An irregular force is one that's kind of strapped together. Maybe it's kind of amalgamated different forces that have been decimated, or, there's been like a paperwork issue, so they've attached another company on the side of them or something. So it's not, you get away with a lot more with an irregular force, and certainly as a mercenary company, a mercenary force, all mercenary forces are really irregulars, so you do get a lot more leeway, and that's why mercenaries are much more popular. If you want to kind of go and collect, like, say, like a Karita force, or one of the great powers, then, and you want to do it correctly, then you're going to have to do your own research in regards to how that composition looks like, and if you really want to kind of get serious about it, then you can talk about like force creation within a lance. So is it like a indirect fire lance? Is it a an urban friendly lance, or like all those things that can constitute it, and they are fun to look at and really interesting to do. Again, with me, I don't go into that much granular detail on all the forces, but the dust counters as an irregular force have very much a lot of lore attached to them over a period of time. So we've gone 8 minutes, so I'll try to finish up before 10. Final point then is basically to say that when I show the dust counters force as well, and the other forces connected to it, it basically is all on the where my heart is in BattleTech, between 3025 and 3067. But I am now going to start to migrate to the Ilkhan era. So the dust counters force that you will see is all within that, that core time frame, what I call core time frame of BattleTech, or the bit that I really like. But eventually, I think I will create like a secondary force picked from that main force, where the dust counters will play in that Ilkhan era. And if I ever do like any writing for them, or any like wider narratives or anything like that, it probably will be Ilkhan now. So, but having that regiment to pick from is incredible, right? Because there are just so many options there, so many units, and I can basically just do what I want then into the Ilkhan era with that mercenary force. So there we go. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and hopefully I'll catch you again in a couple of minutes, because the real video this week is going to be next on the playlist. So hopefully see you shortly.